Tonight on News 5 Live, a toddler is beaten to death and his two siblings are seriously injured at the hands of their stepfather. Kenrick Longsworth immediately went on the run but was captured near Isabella Bank. The new law year officially opens, but the bar executive stages a boycott. The grave of an Orange Walk resident is vandalized hours after his burial. And documents surface alleging a minister received money from a U.S. national involved in a huge fraud. Details of these stories and more coming up in tonight's newscast.
Signing up for Smart's broadband got even better. You can now bundle and get a free monthly prepaid mobile plan with your broadband service and enjoy up to 7
Good evening. Welcome to News 5 Live for Monday, January 13th. I am Marlene Cuellar. On Friday night, a young mother came home to find her 3-year-old son dead inside their house on Lovely Lane, the heart of Jungle, which is in the Pickstock Hutment in Belize City. His 2 siblings were badly injured. They had been brutally beaten and sexually abused. Zima Castillo rushed the child to the KHMH, but he had already died. The 2-year-old is being released to the care of his grandmother, while the oldest clings to life. The heartbreaking story is one of domestic violence. The alleged perpetrator is the boyfriend of the mother. He's now in custody after a police manhunt led them to Isabella Bank. Tonight we have extensive coverage of this horrible incident. Here is News 5's Isani Caetano.
An intense manhunt for a male suspect wanted by law enforcement for his purported role in a most brutal and heart-wrenching incident involving 3 children ended this afternoon with the capture of Kenrick Longsworth near the Isabella Bank Road. The systematic and coordinated search led by a detail of officers began early today when they descended on this Lovely Lane address. It succeeded a 911 call from a resident of the Pickstock Hutment.
I called in the 911 center and I told them that I have information, and the information was facts, because it's not like I'm telling them lie because I want the $10,000. I don't even want the $10,000. I'm scared for my own. I'm scared to even come outside because I don't know this man's mentality or what he's going to go and do next. So I called them and I told them he was in the abandoned orange house across from Jungle.
It is here, just overlooking the street from where Longsworth was last seen, that Z. Mark Tuyul Jr., and 2-year-old Markeem Tuyul were discovered on Friday evening, bloody after being badly beaten and bludgeoned, allegedly at the hands of their stepfather.
My daughter, they come in through the door and he get one call. She come in from work. She get one call and I just say, she make that surprise and say, Marky dead. Then I spin around, I say, right now that chair there. And I spin around and I say, what you say? Marky dead? And then she tell me, yes. He say, he get one news or one call that the command law supposed to kill the lead boy.
3-year-old Mark was found inside this squalid home. He had been clubbed to death. His siblings were, themselves, suffering from various degrees of injuries inflicted during the deadly rampage. Ann Carcamo recalled receiving word of the harrowing ordeal.
Then after that, we started to get message that he beat up all 3 of them with one piece of stick and one hammer. Well, we rushed down to the hospital. When we rushed down there, only one be dead and the one be dead. I got into the room, the doctor they make a scene and everything, and after that I can't tell you what happened because I dropped. And so I get up, I drop again, and so they had to pick me up and take me out of the room.
The children's biological father, Mark Tuyul Sr., is beside himself with grief. Despite no longer being with the mother of the little boys, he has tried on previous occasions to take custody of them.
I feel hurt inside, big man. And take on my John family, man. It just stick for me right now. I try to hold up, but I'm terrified. I just pray, I just hope that they find this young man, yeah, and put him to justice. Amen. You know, right the way how I see it, this man torture my baby, beat my baby to death, rape my baby. How do you think I feel inside? I just need help, I need help. I need someone to talk to me. I can't do it alone. I can't do it.
It's a feeling that is extremely difficult to describe, even for this inconsolable father. A foster parent abusing a child physically, emotionally, and sexually is unfathomable, and words can hardly explain Tuyul's anguish.
I don't have no feeling. Everything inside of me empty. I don't have nothing.
Where do you go from here? What happens next? Because I know this is a huge loss for you as a parent. This is perhaps the worst kind of tragedy that anyone could face. How do you pick up the pieces and move on, knowing that you've lost one of your 3 kids?
It hard. Man, the only thing I lose is my Chun Chun. You know why he killed my Chun Chun? Because he got my full details. And that's why he killed her. Because he know that he na Mark Francisco Toyol Jr. He take away my baby from me. He torture my baby before he kill her. He rape and all of that. I can't stand that. That I feel I did on my head and that I take over my whole system directly and I get crazy and I lose my whole life directly.
The grandmother continues her account of what she saw inside the trauma room at the KHMH.
The little boy properly beat up. There's not a space on the child that you could see when you got one hit mark, right? And then it's so sad for we that they actually tell we that the child sexually abused, right? That again gone through me that I just couldn't take it. Up to now, I still can't take it.
Explain to me the relationship that your daughter had with the stepfather, with these 3 kids' stepdad. What was that relationship like that would have perhaps led to such an incident?
Okay, I don't know really no kind of relationship, how a relationship made it go, right? But then that just where people tell me that it's in an abusive home. When she come here, I tell her about it. She cut me off of Facebook, he cut me off of phone. We can't communicate no more. I never even know what part she did when this happened till when I tell we love Lynn. You understand? So we never had no good communication. And I could recall in a Christmas when the baby come here, he had the biggest one, had one big bite in my back. I asked him who bite her. He said, Kenrick bite me in my back and he whapped me up with a piece of stick.
In February 2019, Kenrick Longsworth was committed to stand trial for the attempted murder of Kadeem Myers following a shooting incident on March 6, 2018, the night before the last municipal elections. His stepchildren, Z-Mark and Markeem Toyol, remain hospitalized in critical condition at the Carl Huchner Memorial Hospital. Reporting for News 5, I am Isani Cayetano.
Both sides of the families agree that signs of domestic abuse were detected in the relationship between Zima Castillo and Kendrick Longsworth. He was released from prison last year for a charge of attempted murder. The violence would lead to the unfortunate death of 3-year-old Mark Toyol Jr. Isani Cayetano spoke to the mothers of Castillo and Longsworth and files the following report.
The often tense relationship between Kenrick Longsworth and Zima Castillo is best described as a powder keg that exploded into a most violent episode on Friday, resulting in the death of 3-year-old Mark Toyol Jr. For both families, the writings appeared to have been on the wall.
Everybody in abuse, children and mother. But when you talk to she, you don't want to hear nothing what he say, but what you want to say, he tell you that it's she life and he live it how he want. So this is the way they living up.
Laverne Longsworth, mother of the 26-year-old suspect, says that she also warned Castillo about the turbulent situation with her son. That stern piece of advice was met with disdain.
Me always fight and but long time tell she I tell her left Kenrick alone. Left Kenrick alone, she insists because I just never like I know something about fishy vibes on me. Never made a pull because if she go to bed with fishy man for date my son, what else she not do? She left a good home for come in a one relationship. I don't have nothing. My son don't have nothing. I have to feed him. Me ain't got my job. We left for 7 days to feed. She ain't cheap. Enough to talk.
You were held in police custody yesterday, Sunday, while they were looking for Kenrick.
Yes, they come to my house yesterday morning. They said to them, okay, me, I arrest for harboring a prisoner. So I tell them, I say, I don't know by day what I want. I tell them, I don't know by day. They came me from 10 past, I reached a station 10 past 10 yesterday morning and let me go this morning, Monday, after 9.
The maternal grandparent of the 3 children recalls an incident where Mark Tuyul, the kid's father, was viciously attacked by Longsworth and Castillo on the eldest child's birthday.
At one time, sometime last year, he gone me see the kids there, where she stay with the boy and whole family member. When I could recall, he come by my back door and the blood. My granddaughter healed me, came up my bed wrong. My granddaughter healed me and tell me, say, Granny, say, Duke dropped down at the back door and the blood.
According to Tuyul, Duke, as he is otherwise known, the confrontation happened when Castillo refused to allow him a visit with the child. Admittedly, he struck the mother of his children first.
I went to see my son because then it was his birthday, the 5th of September. When I go around there to get my son for care and the next granny with a mama to give her my birthday gift. She know why I bring my picnic, she know why I carry my son. So now I try to get my son from her, she the hold her around the neck like he want to kill her. I tell him, please let come picnic. Everybody do they say. Now when I struck her 2 times, 3 times and I'm out, then the boy fell out and me a piece of stick and lash up me. Right in front of my 3 picnic.
Amid the constant physical abuse her grandkids were subjected to, Carcamo regrets not documenting the instances when they were badly beaten.
Unfortunately, I never take no picture with it. If I may know it may end up to this, and I may take one picture, we have it for sure. When I faced her and asked her about it, she said she don't know about Dende. She aware of everything. But I think if you see your child bruised up at any time, you're supposed to know, well, something is wrong with your child. Somebody beat her. You understand me? So, but she never want to get in there.
As far as the maltreatment which ultimately led to the murder of the toddler, Laverne Longsworth, herself a victim and survivor of domestic abuse, condemns the actions of her son.
I can't do nothing. If he wrong, he wrong. I can't do nothing. I never raise up him like that, and he never, I never beat him. So I don't like that. If he wrong, you have to face it.
Reporting for News 5, I am Isani Cayetano.
This morning, the Belize Police Department, led by Commissioner Chester Williams, held a press conference to discuss the weekend's tragedy. Compo Williams began by giving an official police account of what transpired at the family's Lovely Lane residence. Notwithstanding the tragedy and the sensitive nature of what took place, he believes that there is a level of culpability that the mother must own up to, given the fact that the children were left in the care of the stand-in parent.
The mother of the 3 children had left home, leaving the kids with the stepfather. And she went to do some errands, and she returned around 5 p.m. thereabout. And when she came back, she met the stepfather at the house. He told her certain things. And when she went in, she encountered the first child who was in a state of unconsciousness. She managed to rush him to the hospital, and upon reaching there, he was pronounced dead shortly thereafter. Police were called to the hospital where they went and they observed the child. And may I say that the photographs being circulated on social media with a child with his head split open, that is not the child. Subsequent to that, the police visited the home, and there they encountered the other 2 children, and they too were exhibiting signs of violence, and so they were taken to the hospital by the police. Those other 2 children are currently admitted, if still, but they were not seriously injured, they were stable, and they were on their way to recover. So that is where we are currently. I must say that when it comes to the mother, there is some degree of negligence on her part. And we will have to look to see how we are going to address the issue where she's concerned, bearing in mind the fact that she's already going through a very terrible time at this juncture. And so we want to ensure that whatever we do will be done in a way that it will be reasonable in the circumstances.
The arrest of Kendrick Longsworth on Sunday afternoon brought to an end an intense manhunt that had been undertaken by police officers in Belize City since Friday evening. While his capture in Isabella Bank was successful, it wasn't without controversy. That's because a swarm of officers descended on the Pickstock hutment earlier in the morning in search of the suspect. According to Commissioner Williams, the mayhem in Jungle was all staged while another operation was being ran simultaneously in the Belize River Valley. Of note is that the same officers who stormed Jungle were the same ones who brought Longsword in a few hours later. So how did this all come to be? That's what we sought answers for at today's press briefing.
There were persons from within the hotman area that were feeding the suspect with information as it relates to the police operational effort. And so we did a diversion tactic with a view to make them believe that we're concentrating within the hotman while our effort was concentrated exactly where we knew he was. And with that, he was flushed out, and he started to run from the police. And there was a civilian who was doing some farm work in the immediate area. And so when he ran from the police, the civilian was able to apprehend him and then hand him over to the police.
There is a 911 call that was placed in terms of a resident of the hotman seeing this individual at a so-called Orange House. This is also caught on video. And she comes on record along with several other persons from Pickstock hotman to say that your officers were outrun. The very same officers who went to Pickstock and the same officers who brought him in yesterday, they are saying these men and this one woman were outrun by the suspect.
Mr. Isani, let me craft my response to you very carefully.
Yeah.
It seems to me like everything John Q. Public say to you, you swallow easily.
He was in the bush lying down, and when he saw them, he got up, and it was about 6 of them, and and he ran out the 6 of them. I mean, and they didn't have to kill him. They could have shot him in his foot, and he never would have gotten away. But now he got away again from them.
We have a number of officers who do different things. We have what you call surveillance team that will insert in certain areas to monitor certain things. Yes, after he was apprehended, officers from here went to pick him up and bring him to Belize City, but they were not the one who made the initial interception.
In the pursuit of Kenrick Longsworth, Belize City Police descended on Pickstock hotman, popularly known as Jungle. In a social media post, Commissioner Williams suggested that the fugitive stepfather was being harbored by residents of that community. The comment has incensed many who live in Jungle, despite the hotspot it is known to be. Upon learning that Longsworth was subsequently captured in Isabella Bank, those angry residents demanded an apology from the top cop. When asked today if a mea culpa is in order, Compa Williams says he does not find it necessary to say sorry. As for the $10,000 reward money, the commissioner says it will be shared among 3 persons who provided credible information on Longsworth's whereabouts.
3 persons who will be receiving the reward, and they were the ones who actually fed the police with different information at a particular time. And the person who did the actual interception will also get a part of the reward money.
Sir, now you have heard certainly the very strident calls in the jungle for an apology from you, because they say you have painted the pink jungle black by alleging that they are harboring someone who they would not even share a breath with, somebody that has outraged them more than they have outraged the rest of the community. Do you have an apology for the people of the jungle?
Chastised on the media and on social media saying that we're hiding this man. Why will we hide this man? I want them to come to jungle and see how much kids are at jungle. Why will we upholding this man? And we know the kind of stuff that he's been doing. Jungle don't got a lot of negative background already. We try uplift for we jungle, but how we could uplift for we jungle if everybody they try bring we down? You understand? It don't make no sense.
I do not see the need for an apology. The police did nothing wrong. We simply did what we ought to have done to get the person in custody. And I saw the video with the lady who seemingly is outraged. And that is how she feels. I take no qualms over that. Our work will continue to ensure that we take this case to where we want it to go.
A trove of documents has been obtained on a complex case in the U.S. courts involving an alleged scheme to illegally obtain more than $500 million in renewable fuel tax credits. It includes court documents and press reports of the alleged bribes paid to senior U.S. officials, as well as from Belize. The documents contain explosive information against businessman Isaiah and Jacob Kingston from Utah, along with Lev Derman from California and originally from Armenia. The three are charged with money laundering and fraud. The matter is ongoing before the U.S. District in Utah. Derman was in prison since August 2018 and was seeking pretrial release, but the motion was denied because he was considered a risk due to his business interests and connections in Turkey. The Kingston siblings pleaded guilty. Part of the documents involves a testimony by Jacob Kingston, who provided evidence against Derman. Kingston alleges that Derman offered him and his family the protection of U.S. law enforcement umbrella. This would have allowed Kingston to file fraudulent claims for renewable fuel tax credits with impunity. According to Kingston, Derman's tentacles extended to other countries, including Belize. Kingston outlined that a government official from Belize was, quote, routinely paid $25,000 in cash each month by Derman, and that when Derman could not make the payment himself, he would ask Kingston to make the payments on his behalf. On at least one occasion, in or about February 2014, at Derman's request, Kingston arranged for cash payment to the Belizean official through an associate, unquote. Kingston says that in or about June 2013, he electronically sent funds to a different Belizean government official at Derman's request. Later in the document, it is established that Kingston's testimony was to be corroborated with contemporaneous text messages, including one with the Belizean minister. Now, the name of the minister is not being released at this time, but the allegations of the connections are explained as follows. Derman apparently was seeking a diplomatic appointment in Las Vegas, USA, which was being pushed by a government minister with whom Derman had frolicked in the U.S. That, however, did not materialize because the U.S. turned it down. We'll keep following this story. There's much more news after the break, so stay tuned. The traditional opening of the Supreme Court took place as scheduled this morning. Members of the judiciary were in full force as they made their way to the courtroom following a ceremony at St. John's Cathedral. But the executive of the Bar Association and its president, Sherilyn Vidal, did not attend, boycotting the event due to vexing issues with the Supreme Court. The Chief Justice, Kenneth Benjamin, gave an overview of the work of the court, and it was left for the Foreign Minister, Wilfred Eldrington, to address the event on behalf of the Attorney General, Michael Parafit. Here is Hippolyta Novello with this report.
The new law area was today declared officially open by Chief Justice Kenneth Benjamin during the traditional ceremony held every year. Members of the legal fraternity made their way to the Supreme Court building in downtown Belize City, where C.J. Benjamin inspected the rank and file of the Belize Police Department as they stood at attention. From there, members of the bench and bar filled the courtroom of C.J., where the legal year 2019 will be reviewed. Under normal circumstances, revision of the previous year's successes and failures will be made by three individuals: the Chief Justice, President of the Bar Association, and the Attorney General. Executive members of the bar boycotted the session for a number of reasons, including delayed judgments by the Chief Justice. As for the Attorney General, Michael Parafit, stepping in for him for the second year in a row was Foreign Minister Wilfred Eldrington.
He said that he had other engagements which made it difficult, if not impossible, for him to attend. And he asked me to represent him as early as last week, Tuesday. The question of outstanding judgment is a long one. And it seemed to me that that has happened largely because we have not kept up with the changes that have taken place over the years. Because certainly in places like the United States, a Chief Justice certainly I don't think has the obligation to do both judicial work and administrative work. And even those who have only judicial work have interns who help them to prepare their judgments so that they can give them in a timely manner. I think it is high time now that Belize employs interns to assist the judges in the preparation of their judgments so that they can be well researched and delivered in a timely manner.
One of the constant constraints of the judicial system is budgetary allocation. Of the national budget for the fiscal year 2018-2019, $10.6 million was allocated to the judiciary. The amount for fiscal year 2019-2020 reduced to less than $9 million.
The present fiscal year 2019-2020 is being funded by an allocation of $8,976,387. Although the numerical reduction appears to be significantly reduced, it must be borne in mind that the cost center for the Vital Statistics Unit has been removed from that of the General Registry. Therefore, the percentage of the national budget remains steady at 0.95%.
The Vital Statistics Unit saw tremendous improvement in 2019. Overall, the Vital Statistics Unit has seen an increase in staffing, which has resulted in the provision of a more efficient and effective service. To date, late registration of births and deaths are up to date, deed polls are up to date, and corrections to personal documents are up to date. All documents that are pending are awaiting the submission of supporting documents from the applicants in order to be approved and finalized. These statistics are an indicator of the improved efficiency of the unit.
In 2019, more than 1,400 proceedings were commenced, including 392 divorces. This yielded more than $230,000 in revenue for the judiciary. There are, however, many cases to be dealt with in 2020. According to C.J. Benjamin, the work of the judges for the criminal division has been very heartening when the disposal numbers are reviewed.
In Belize City, sitting in the Belize district, 94 cases were disposed of in one court, with a list of 44 cases awaiting trial in 2020. Also in Belize City, a further 25 cases were concluded, leaving a list of 108 cases traversed to January 2020. In the Northern Session, 23 cases were disposed of, and there remain 43 pending cases. In the Central District in Belmopan, the list stands at 91 pending cases. However, notwithstanding an epic trial lasting over this period of 6 months, 37 cases were disposed of. In the southern session, 41 cases were disposed of in Dangriga and 5 cases in Punta Gorda. The pending cases stand at 27 and 8 for Dangriga and Punta Gorda respectively.
By the litigation unit, 397 contracts were vetted by the Attorney General's Ministry in the last judicial year. The unit litigated in approximately 70 Supreme Court claims, 9 civil appeals, and 2 Caribbean Court of Justice appeals. Their performance has been commendable. Belize Legal Aid and Services Center facilitated over 200 consultations and approximately 150 civil and criminal cases in the Magistrates Court, Supreme Court, and Family Court. Further, the LASC collaborated with UNICEF to represent minors who came in conflict with the law. I am pleased to report that all of those cases were dismissed.
The judiciary is also focusing on reducing the number of inmates who have been on remand for several years. There are still 22 inmates on remand in excess of 4 years.
Inasmuch as this represents an improvement over the number of 60 in 2018, it still remains 22 persons too many. It is the target of the Criminal Division that such lengthy remands will be further reduced in 2020.
The number of pending cases are also expected to be further reduced in 2020. And with at least 5 judges departing from the bench, the Chief Justice today made a call for attorneys to render their services.
Honorable Madam Justice Shona Griffith has tendered her resignation to His Excellency, the Governor General, to take effect from the 31st of January 2020. In the course of 2020, 3 justices and myself will attain the retirement age of 65. The process of succession lies within the province of the Judicial and Legal Services Commission and the Honorable Prime Minister within the constraints of the Constitution and is being addressed. The complement of magistrates remains below the required amount, notwithstanding an advertisement to fill vacancies. So once again, I issue a call to all attorneys at law to offer their services.
Reporting for News 5, Hippolyta Novello.
At this time, a meeting is currently underway at the Swift Hall in the Lake Independence constituency of Belize City, where, as promised, Minister of State for Immigration Beverly Williams is meeting with immigrants seeking nationality. Hundreds of persons, some who have been living in Belize for over a decade, have gathered there hoping to get their status regularized. For 3 days last week, hundreds of persons, mostly from Central America, lined up at the office of UDP Standard Bearer for Lake Eye, Diane Finnegan, where their documents were being collated in anticipation of this meeting. The 3-day rush raised eyebrows because of past scandals involving the illegal issuance of Belizean passports. Political operatives are known to facilitate mass nationalizations in exchange for the vote. Less than 24 hours after the body of Emil Escalante was laid to rest over the weekend, the tomb at the cemetery in Orange Walk was broken into and his casket opened. It occurred overnight, and relatives are questioning who would be behind such a vile act and why. Outside of the vandalism, which police are investigating, information surfaced that Escalante, who is a member of the LGBTI community, was also the victim of a vicious beatdown back in November. While the family believes that the death of the 27-year-old may be a result of the beating, this has not been substantiated. News 5's Dwayne Moody reports.
An Orange Walk family has twice buried their loved one in less than 24 hours. Emil Escalante succumbed on January 9th, just 5 days shy of his 28th birthday. His body was laid to rest on January 12th around 2 p.m. and by this morning, relatives discovered that his tomb had been vandalized. His coffin was taken out and broken open. Shocked by the news, Victor Castillo says he hurried back to Orange Walk, where his cousin had to be buried for a second time.
You can imagine driving this morning to work and getting a call that your loved one tomb has been broken into and have his remains exposed to anyone who can pass and see, invading the intimacy of the family. You know, yesterday we went through the process of putting him to rest, which we thought it would have been eternal rest, and getting the news this morning that someone has tampered with his tomb and went to this extreme of dragging him out and have him on the ground It's exposed. It's ridiculous.
This morning, sometime around 6:45 a.m., Orange Rock police were called to the cemetery on San Antonio Road in Orange Rock town, where they observed a tomb that was opened along with a casket which was beside the tomb and the human remains of Emil Escalante. The family was informed, and I believe the issue was taken up and he was buried back.
Is there any indication of what could be the motive for such a vile act?
No, at this point in time we do not know, but our officers are on the ground investigating to try and determine a motive why he would have been removed from where he was already buried.
The family questions whether the vandalism was triggered by Escalante's sexuality.
That's a question that we, as a family perspective, we're trying to figure out why, who, when did it happen? Everybody knew Emil was, he had his sexual preference. We as a family, we accepted Emil as how he was. We didn't have any problem. Yes, we would advise him, take care, be careful who you go. Remember, you're not loved by everyone in the community. Yesterday, we had members of the LGBT that came and paid his respect. They were welcoming. They attended service. They sat there with us. We went through the service. We walked along the streets because it was welcoming for them to come as well, be part of it. And they attended the ceremony. The funeral, everything went, the process went well. Everyone went home. When we got there, we noticed, and I'm not making a big issue of it, if it was because of that, I'm not pointing fingers there, but his wreath that the members of the LGBT brought was twisted to an extent that you could have seen that it's someone with hate that did it. I don't know why.
Escalante had been hospitalized for almost 2 months before he succumbed. The attending physician at the Northern Regional Hospital says that he died from brain toxoplasmosis. But an investigation is ongoing because back on November 4th, the 27-year-old was involved in a fight and was reportedly struck over the head. Less than a week later, Escalante was hospitalized and soon after slipped into a coma. According to Castillo, the doctor was unable to determine if the beating led to Escalante's death.
Emil was badly beaten, especially in one particular media house. We just seconds ago, I read about it, that he was badly beaten by a family member within the house. We cannot attest to it. We understand that Emil was badly beaten sometime in November, but it's like any ordinary street fight. The details of the story, I don't know how he got involved in that fight, what exactly happened, but never did show any signs of injuries to an extent that it would be alerting for us to take actions into it. So one Sunday, I can recall Emil came home, he sat, he had lunch, he went back. Midnight, they telling us that Emil started to act differently, like whenever you're going into a seizure. So we rushed him to the Northern Regional Hospital, and ever since Emil went into that coma. We did the medical procedure where we did a CAT scan and everything, and the CT scan showed that Emil had approximately 80 to 85% of his brain covered with what the doctor explained to us is like a fungus, which practically had impeded his brain to continue functioning the way it should function.
We also heard of some information that he was beaten up, but as far as we know, no report has been made to the police, neither by himself or by any of his family members.
No, but is there, I know that if someone reaches the hospital in beaten up, the hospital is due to
They would have had some record to show that, yeah, but that was not the case.
Dwayne Moody for News 5.
The Belize Police Department owes a San Pedro hotel over $100,000. The hefty hotel tab is reportedly for accommodations for officers who have been working on the island. According to the Commissioner of Police, the Belize Police Department will not pay the six-figure bill in its entirety. He says that it has to be a shared responsibility. At today's briefing, Compol Chester Williams didn't say exactly who else should pick up the tab, but he did say that he will be meeting with industry partners. Here's how he explains it.
Yes, the police officers have been staying at a hotel in San Pedro due to the unavailability of accommodation. I had been asking questions several times last year as to who is footing the bill, because I have not seen any request for payment. Certain things were said to me as it relates to who is paying the bill. And sudden when I saw something came in with an arrears, as you said, a six-figure arrears. It is something that we'll have to discuss with the proprietor of the establishment to see what can be worked out and who is going to pay the bill. I can say for sure that the police department is not going to pay the bill in its entirety. It has to be a shared responsibility.
With the community, with whom?
We'll decide that when the time comes. In the time being, I have directed that the officers vacate that hotel immediately, and we're trying to see how we can find alternative accommodation for them. At the end of the day, we do understand the nature of San Pedro and the fragileness of the tourism industry. And so I cannot say that I'm going to withdraw the officers from there, but rather to say that we'll seek alternative accommodation. And as much as the people of San Pedro needs the island to be safe, to be able to further the tourism business, then we have to work together, like you said, shared responsibility, in order to ensure that we have adequate number of officers on the island to make it safe. I'm sure that they would agree that for the past 6 months, since the officers went out and the new commander was installed, they have seen a drastic reduction in crime on the island, and the tourism industry is coming back on stream. We don't want it to regress. We want to ensure that whatever we do, it will enhance the efforts that the police have already made on the island. So we will see going forward. I will have to meet with the proprietor of the establishment. I will meet at BTB, and I'm going to meet with the San Pedro chapter of BTIA. And I believe that between the four of us, we should be able to come up with some amicable solution to resolve the issue.
Belmopan police carried out a number of operations in the Belmopan area over the weekend. One of the operations netted a trove of ammunition. Police say that more than 100 rounds of ammunition have been labeled as found property because no one was in the area when the discovery was made. Here's more from ACP Joseph Maivet about the weapons found during the operation.
One of those operations just outside Belmopan on the George Price Highway yielded at a location 20 45 rounds of ammunition, 56 223 rounds of ammunition, 10 16 gauge cartridges, 44 9mm rounds, 27 7.62 rounds, 2 extended magazines for 9mm, and a homemade shotgun 12 gauge which was found in the Salvapan area of Belmopan. At the time of the operations, no one was found in these areas, so those items were deposited as found property.
Is there an indication if some criminal element or some organized criminal element had been using had these as a stash?
We do not know that, but what I can say is that where these things were found, no one of interest to the police lives anywhere in that area that we could have connected to these items found.
After the break, the foreign minister says Belize is getting ready for the ICJ. Foreign Affairs Minister Wilfred Ellington confirmed to the media today that Guatemala has nominated a judge who will sit on the bench to hear submissions on the territorial, insular, and maritime dispute between Belize and Guatemala. May 8, 2019 became a historic day when, after Belizeans overwhelmingly voted in favor of taking the long-standing dispute to the International Court of Justice for final adjudication. A bipartisan committee of 4 persons, including Foreign Minister Wilfred Ellington, Attorney General Michael Perifete, Attorney Eamon Courtney, and Attorney Leslie Mendez, was formed. Ellington says that Belize has contracted its legal team.
That aspect of the dispute, the legal activities, is being handled exclusively by Asad Schumann and Alexis Rosado. They are fully in charge of it. And the last report I got from them was that we have been doing all that we need to do to put ourselves in readiness for us when it's time for us to make our submission to the court. And I want to suggest or to think that the Guatemalans might have another 3 months, maybe, before their time run out. I think they made their first presentation in about April, I think. Okay. So I think by the end of April we may then have to make our submission.
Okay. Have the lawyers been identified?
Yeah, a team of lawyers was put together, and I think contracts were entered into by them, but the people who will give you the details on that, again, would be Asad Schumann and Alexis Rosado.
There has been a suggestion made by other parties, particularly those who were opposed to going in the first place, that there is a provision in the court's rules for potential settlement of the case. Has that been brought up in any way?
That will not. That is not in the cards. I have not heard anybody raise that issue. What has been raised is the Guatemalans have appointed their judge, because they have a chance to nominate somebody to be the judge. Both countries will have an opportunity to nominate a judge on the bench that will sit to hear the case. And the Guatemalans have identified someone. They notified us of that some time ago. But again, to get the precise details on that, I will refer you to Mr. Schumann.
2 Guatemalan families remain settled on Belizean territory along the western border. They are residing in an area known as Barrio El Juda, and the property belongs to businessman Jorge Espat. Espat has asked the Guatemalans to use skillful diplomacy to avoid an international incident. The OAS has verified that the Guatemalans are in Belizean territory. Official representatives from both governments have visited the area, informing the residents that they need to relocate, but 2 families have resisted. Foreign Affairs Minister Wilfred Ellington provided an update today.
In the last meeting we held, there was a suggestion that there were 2 families who are there, and we continue to work with the Guatemalans, our counterpart, to see how best we can have them removed. That was the last I heard of it.
Have more visits been conducted so far?
I am very much aware that the BDF, the police, and the forest rangers are doing their best to ensure that the place is monitored. It's a pretty expansive area they have to cover, but they're doing their best to ensure that the area is covered and to prevent any recurrence from that to happen.
Police say 1 man will be charged in connection with an abduction and beating in Santa Cruz Village. The incident happened minutes before midnight last week, Wednesday. 26-year-old Stefan Kerr reported to police that he was socializing in Santa Cruz when 3 men approached him and an argument followed. Kerr told police that the men forced him into a pickup truck and took him to the back of the village where they beat him up. Today, police told the media that 1 person has been arrested and charged.
So far, police have arrested and charged 1 person, who is Kelvin Funes, and he has so far been charged for wounding, but today additional charges will be preferred against him.
No, sir, this dispute in Santa Cruz had supposedly started with the accused and 2 others alleging that the victim had snitched on them because supposedly they had some type of drug running activity and that they believe he had snitched on them. Is that something that you all are looking at, that this may somehow be related to the drug trade?
Well, yes, the police didn't receive that information too, but I must say also that the victim is also known to the police in the same circles.
When we come back, shootings in Belize City, Hattieville, and Ladyville. Fortunately, there are no fatalities.
In life,
in the crime blotter, there was a shooting in which a 21-year-old man was shot in Hattieville on Friday night. Police say that Tyrone Belisle was at home when he was fired upon just before midnight. Fortunately for Belisle, he managed to run away from his attackers and survived the gunshot injuries. Police say they are investigating rivalries in the neighborhood as a possible connection to Belisle's shooting.
Hattieville police responded to a shooting incident in the Bainesville area. Hattieville, where they observed Tyrone Belisle, 21 years of age, suffering from an apparent gunshot wound to the body. He was transported to the hospital where he was treated and discharged the following morning. What you understand is that Mr. Belisle was inside of his residence when he heard someone calling his name. He went and looked through the window who it was. He observed two persons. Thereafter, the person just began to fire shots at his direction. He managed to run out from the house, and while running away to a neighbor house, he was injured.
I understand the identity of the shooter is known.
Well, police have interviewed him. He had given certain information, and police is looking for a person at this moment.
Okay, and we know we've seen a number of shootings in that area recently, and even a murder recently, as I recall. Is there any known beef between these individuals?
Yes, we have been following several information as to a few that is happening between two of the groups that are operating in the Hattieville area.
The second victim of gun violence over the weekend was Philip Guzman, a resident of the Hollywood area in Lords Bank Village. Guzman was heading home from work when one of two persons opened fire at him. At this time, a motive has not been established, and police are looking for a person from the area who they believe can assist with the investigation. Luckily, Guzman's injuries were not life-threatening, and he has since been released from the KHMH. News 5's Dwayne Moody reports.
A 19-year-old Lords Bank resident is tonight lucky to be alive after he was targeted by a gunman on the night of January 11th. Philip Guzman had just left work and was heading to his house in the Hollywood area of the village when he was fired upon. According to Pedro Guzman, his son was hit to the lower jaw and the bullet exited his mouth.
I made it out that my sister don't need to work and then called me and tell me, saying, then shoot your son. I said, what? Somebody, I don't even want to talk about it. The guy hurt me so bad. He used to work at the gas station and from work, he made it come from work and go home. And the boy then right there, so he said, he used to sit down right there. And he said the boy then passed and then here and then gone. When he said then turn back again. And then he decided to walk, go home. And then they come back and gone. That's right there through the road. Fire the first shot, he ducked, he missed his head. Next one, catch him right there. And come out through his mouth. Lucky thing he come out through his mouth, the rest in and dead.
Police visited the Calhoun Memorial Hospital where they observed Philip Guzman, 19 years of age, with an apparent gunshot wound to the body. What we understand is that Mr. Guzman was walking in the Hollywood area when he was approached by two male persons. One of them pulled out a firearm and fired shots at his direction, causing an injury to his body.
According to Superintendent Alejandro Coa, investigators are looking for one person in connection with this shooting incident. Police say they are checking to see if the shooting may be over a gang war in the area.
He resides almost at that location, not far from where he was shot. I know that there is an ongoing dispute among two groups likewise in that area, and that is that we are following it. We have a person that we are looking at this moment.
Just the two persons just passed not too long and they watch hard. The guy in my car, the box up. I didn't say the police not interested for hold on. Because they put for hold on them and don't hold on already.
What could have triggered it? Why did they shoot your son?
I don't really know that what happened, man.
You guys live here long?
Yeah, we live long, yeah. We live about what? I say about 3 years. And nothing like that never happened.
Philip hangs around with the wrong people. You have any beef with anybody, anything like that?
Well, I don't think so because he always there by himself.
Philip has since been discharged from the hospital and is recovering. Dwayne Moody for News 5.
Michael Pook was at his work site when he came under gunfire. Pook is hospitalized in a critical condition. Police say that they're pursuing a different angle, even taking a look at Pook's criminal past to solve the shooting.
Michael Pook, 31 years, was working as a security guard at a compound at the corner of Poinsettia Street and Tibro Street when he was approached by someone who fired shot at his direction. He was injured and taken to the Calhoun Memorial Hospital, where he is presently in a critical condition at this moment.
So he was, I know that he was one of 3 persons who came off murdered. He and his 2 brothers came off murder last year. Is there an indication if this may have been related to the past allegation of murder against him?
Yeah, that is one of the theories that we are following. We also have other information that we have received, and we are following that likewise.
There was a fire in Belize City just before 2 o'clock this morning. No one was at the house when it went up in flames. The fire department managed to contain the blaze before it spread to a nearby building on Tamarind Street on the Jane Usher Boulevard. The homeowner says the cause of the fire is not known.
With her, I think it was like 5 children, they were living in this house.
Do you know what happened, how this house burned down?
I'm not sure, ma'am, up to now, I'm not sure. The fire department, they're doing their investigation, so after that we will go from there.
No one was at home. The young lady who was living here wasn't at home when the fire?
No, she was not at home. She said that she was at her boyfriend's house sleeping, and she sent the kids to their dad's house.
We dispatched 2 units, and on our arrival we observed a wooden elevated structure fully engulfed with flames. Fire concentrated in the easterly northeastern section of the building, and it then posed a fire threat to the nearby structure sitting on the south portion of that building, our fire team got into operation extinguishing this fire, bringing it under control, minimizing the damage to its nearby building. That particular structure received minimal damage to the eaves, PVC pipings, and a window.
Do we know what caused the fire in the wooden structure?
Right about now, our investigation isn't completed as yet. There are some factors that we are still working with. We're trying to get a hold of the primary occupant who hasn't arrived at the station as yet so that we can have our one-on-one. We did our physical investigations, but before we relieve the actual cause, I would like to have a sit down with the occupants in terms of what was going on before I can actually say what started the fire. What we can say that the fire originated in the bedroom area of the building that housed 2 small single beds, and then it spread its way there to consume the balance of the building.
So everything was destroyed at this house, Mr. Mortis?
Everything inside the contents was destroyed, even though the building remains standing. In my view, then the building needs to be demolished.
Coming up after the break, we'll hear from the top cop on changes in the ranks. The Belize Police Department says that it's in the process of designating ranks within the force as gender neutral. Currently, the female police constables are referred to as WPC. Moving forward, the department wants to get rid of the W, and all female police constables will be referred to by the gender-neutral term PC. Commissioner of Police Chester Williams explains.
We have discussed at policy group, and we have agreed that we will remove the W from in front of the PC where women officers are concerned, and so will not refer to any officers WPC. Will all be PC if they're constables, or corporal if they're corporals, sergeant if they're sergeants, and so the W is going to be removed. The legal office is currently working on the policy document that will officially have the removal of the W from in front of the names of women officers. Again, it goes to the whole issue of gender equality. We don't want to appear to be sexist, or as the case may be. We'll be able to know who the women officers are based on their appearance and based on their names. So there's no need. I think BDF have done the same. They have also removed the W from in front of the rank structure that they have it within the BDF.
And on the topic of female police officers, today Commissioner Chester Williams told the media that 2 of his officers will take the department to court. The legal action is over the matter of hairstyle. If you'll recall, last year several members of the department faced disciplinary charges over dreadlock hairstyles. Back then, the department said that the women's decision to style their hair that way during working hours violates Section 7 of the standing orders. Some of the women complied and removed the hairstyle, but others faced disciplinary measures. Now, 2 officers are not stopping there, and they are taking it before the court. Here's what Williams had to say on the matter.
We have received notice from 2 of the officers that they are taking us to court. And so we'll go to court, and the court is going to decide. But in the time being, again, the legal officer have been tasked to look at the policy document that deals with the appearance of officers, and we're going to make it clear in the policy document as well as the SI as it relates to how female and every officer must dress, that include their hairstyle. So that will address the issue.
Don't you consider it, just on the face of it, discriminatory? Particularly, let's say that somebody who grows up in a Rastafarian family, or a young lady who grows up in a Rastafarian family, decides that she wants to take on law enforcement as a career. And clearly your policy would state that if you have to lose the job, you can't join the police.
If a mental person wants to join the police, so he must be allowed to join the police. It's not everybody who wants to do something must be allowed to do. If you want to join something, then you must ensure that you meet the requirements as it relates to getting there. You can't just come and want to join and then enforce your own rules or allow things to work around you. It doesn't work like that.
So you don't see it as discriminatory?
No, if it's up to Belizean people, everything is discriminatory. Everything.
Up next, the weekend in sports with James Adderley.
The Belize Bank, our country, your bank.
Good evening, I'm James Satterley. Welcome to Sports Monday. We take you to this beautiful scene in Dangriga that enhances the Carl Ramos Stadium for yesterday's PLB closing season opening match as Wagia FC hosted the San Pedro Pirates. We were only 5 minutes in when Gilroy Turton is left unattended, so he powers the left foot at goal. Goalkeeper Selvin Sagastume can't come up with the save. The home team Wagia grabs the early 1-0 lead. Ralph Flores then creates excitement with this right foot center that Sagastume fails to handle completely, but the moment passes. Wagia is in the ascendancy when Anderson Cordoba launches this corner kick to Jesse Smith, who is left all alone, so he powers it with a header that gives San Pedro a much-needed goal, and we're tied at 1 apiece at 15 minutes into the ball game, and we've got a real ball game. At the 36th minute, Enfield Coleman Jr. penetrates into the danger zone, only to be foiled by one touch too many, and then John King certainly could not rescue the situation. At the other end, Jose Alba works his way to launch this shot at goal, but it's direct to the Griga keeper, Salam Gregory. So we go to second half with the Dangriga team still controlling ball possession. Ralph Flores enters the box to strike. The result is a skyscraper that might have been the result of a block. Can't be sure. The action remains fast and furious as the intensity continues to rise. San Pedro has possession, but Jesse Smith extends his right elbow on Warren Maas, for which he attracts a yellow card. Christian Tovar finds Jonard Castillo with this pass from midfield, but Castillo's timing for the header in front of the goal is not accurate. Gilroy Turton gets another shot at goal off this nice pass from Enfield Coleman, but this time the power shot inches over the crossbar. Folks, can you believe goalkeeper Salam Gregory bungles this set piece in front of Jesse Smith, and what? He gets away with it. It's more Wagia looking for the home win. Gilroy Turton picks out Kaim Lino, who powers this ball at goal only to see it tangle in the side netting. Wagia and San Pedro certainly played exciting football. Wagia had the edge in possession while San Pedro had the edge in drive in the 1-1 final score. In other football results from the PLB, Verdes FC and Altitude FC struggled to a scoreless draw inside the Michael Ashcroft Stadium. Bandit Sports hosted Placencia Assassins and promptly clobbered them in an 11-zip rout. Hey, we got to do something about that. In the meantime, the scheduled ball game between Freedom Fighters Valley Pride and the Belize Defense Force at the MCC grounds yesterday descended into only a friendly contest, as the PLB has sanctioned the Freedom Fighters from participating in this league for failing to honor its financial commitments. We now go inside the People's Stadium, Orange Walk, for yesterday's women's football. Orange Walk Gladiators hosting the Cayo Dreams in a friendly. The visitors strike 6 minutes into the ball game. Zania Dubon strips Kelly Martinez and simply storms past the OW Gladiators defense to let loose this left foot beauty that streaks past the goalkeeper Zedene Loria for the 1-0 Cayo Dreams. Katie Jones in a Gladiator uniform looks to reply. She eludes Giselle Konaki, moves into the box, but the ball skips the far post. OW continues to press. Miss Jones deals to Glende Garcia, whose launch from the right side should have been handled by Jalini Bilal in the Cayo goal. Katie follows to tie the ball game at 1 apiece. Every mistake counts. KJ picks up this loose ball in front of the Cayo goal, and this time the left foot splice finds the back of the net for the 2-1 OW lead. Katie Jones stays busy with another foray into the Cayo defensive area and lands the triple for the 3-1 Gladiators lead at halftime. The action resumes with Cayo Dreams looking for some offense. Giselle Kanaki launches this corner kick to Amaze Arnold, whose header falls short, and the follow-up by Therese Martinez just did not make contact. Folks, this crash between Giselle Konake and Tian Matu is simply unfortunate, as both went hard for the possession. Miss Konake would leave the ball game while Miss Matu would continue. In the meantime, Janahine Arnold looks to score, but Zidane Loria comes out of our goal and Arnold's kick lands on her right ankle, forcing her out of the ball game. Who comes in to replace Loria? It's Katie Jones, who had retired, and guess what? She weathers the storm. Orange Walk Gladiators wins the friendly in a 3-1 finish. Here are the results of the Belize Ahmadiyya basketball held at the Civic Center on Sunday. In under 13 play, Hard Rock got past Delfines of Chetumal 33-21, but the Mexicans got revenge in the under 15 females, beating the Rogers Stadium girls 22-12. In under 15 male action, it's Gators over Delfines of Chetumal. In under 17 male play, Future Shock got over 501 Gators 29-20, and I want to say, Polo, you're large. And in under 19 action, it was Orange Walk Generals getting the win over Bengoshe Flames 40-34. And in the Open, it was Gorilla Cuts getting past Orange Walk Court Generals in a 44-41 ball game. We want to say congratulations, guys, and you have to begin somewhere in any sport. Finally, folks, the NEBL basketball jumps off Saturday night with the San Pedro Tiger Sharks hosting the Belize City Defenders. Showtime! Don't miss it! Hey, folks, that's our show for today. Certainly hope you enjoyed it. We invite you back same time, same place next week. Ja over all. I'm James Satterley.
Sports Monday was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
And that's the news. Don't forget that tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Marlene Cuellar. Thanks for joining us. And from all of us here at News 5, good night.